Hi again. So what I wanted to talk about today is basically the difference between a gluten-free diet, paleo diet, or autoimmune paleo or autoimmune protocol, which is AIP diet. I am a firm believer that when you're first starting out your journey and you've been told you need to be gluten-free, whether it's due to a celiac disease or certain allergies or autoimmune disease, for example, a gluten-free diet is highly, highly, highly effective and recommended for things like ADHD, thyroid conditions. God, there's so many things. I'm spacing on how many. Anyway, and then gluten-free diet, obviously, if you have celiac disease, also is recommended. I think a gluten-free diet isn't the best place to start, unless it's just a matter of I have Hashimoto's disease, and the doctor told me to cut gluten out, or my kid has ADD. I want some improved behavior, let's cut gluten out. I don't think gluten-free diet is necessarily the best place to start because gluten is not the only inflammatory grain or food in our diets. It's just the most commonly blamed one. A lot of grains are very inflammatory, including quinoa and rice and corn, which it's in a weird place of a vegetable / grain, but it's almost as inflammatory as gluten. Most people that can't tolerate gluten also can't tolerate corn based products. So I'm a big fan of let's take it a step further and really cut all the nasty stuff out. We're going to cut all the nasty stuff out, have a very basic diet, and we're going to get to what we call baseline, which is your body's best state, happiest, healthiest, feel-good state, where it's not just barely surviving, but actually thriving and healing. We're going to get to that point, and then we can try to add some things back in and see how we do with specific foods and grains. So to me, the question is basically, do you need a paleo diet or an autoimmune paleo diet or autoimmune protocol diet? For those who don't know, paleo diet, it's a short term for Paleolithic, which is like era of time they're copying, basically the caveman diet. Before we introduced grains and packaged foods into our lives, we ate meat and vegetables, meat, fish, vegetables, things like that. And it's kind of the way our bodies were originally meant to process and digest foods, and it's a very whole food approach. Everything is more the outside of the grocery aisles, meats and vegetables and fruits, and they're not so inflammatory, easy to digest, power foods. Now the difference between that and one step further, which is the AIP diet, AIP is paleo but also cuts out eggs and nightshade vegetables. There might be some other I'm forgetting right now. Nightshades are actually known to be pretty inflammatory too, which are like peppers and tomatoes. And then eggs can wreak a lot of havoc for people. They're also one of the top 8 allergens, so it's really common. I'm allergic to eggs, and I didn't know for years. I kept having these weird on and off lingering symptoms, and it took like a total breakdown to finally realize that I cannot do eggs. If I would have just started with the AIP diet, I would have known that very early on and saved myself so much grief. So I can't tell you what's right, whether to do the slightly less limiting paleo diet or the far more limiting but more healing AIP diet. I cannot tell you what's right for you. As a basic guideline, I think that if you're here because you don't feel right and you want to feel better, you want to be stronger, more active, lose weight, feel better, the paleo diet's going to be great all around no matter what. And if you're not feeling great. Now, if you're in a dire situation and you're having massive issues with autoimmune problems, you're not really functioning very well at all anymore. Your body is in a state of just chaos and inflammation. The AIP diet is going to be a little bit more healing. It's not nearly as restrictive as some of the weird stuff I've seen out there where people do like nothing but bone broth and carrots for 3 weeks or whatever. That's not healthy by any means. The AIP diet is going to be a lot more restrictive, but it's really healing as well. I'll let you make that decision. Also knowing that if you jump into something really, really difficult, it might be harder to follow. If you go super restrictive, feel better, and then say add eggs back, you'll know immediately, oh shoot, I can't do eggs, or eggs are fine. But I mean, if eggs are something you love and you need to eat every single day, and you just don't know how you're gonna live without them, maybe start with the paleo diet. If you don't feel better after a couple weeks, you might have to give up the eggs for a while and see. I'll let you make the decision of which one you wanna do. I feel really comfortable, confident, and happy with the paleo diet. I don't look at it as restrictive. I look at it as a healthy whole food diet. And basically it's gluten-free with the extra step of you're also not having corn or rice or quinoa. It can be terrifying to look at this and go, I'm not gonna have grains anymore, but I live off of bread. The number one thing I hear from people with food allergies and celiac disease is they live off of carbs. And it's funny because it's like, the thing that's killing them is the thing they crave and need the most. I was the worst. I was just literally carrying packs of saltines, just constantly eating them because my stomach was upset. I lived off of bread and bread products and cereals. And if you told me back then that I would give all that up eventually, I would not believe you. I wasn't able to completely do it overnight. It's been a long process for me of kind of learning. And I still eat carbs in bread. I just make them from cassava flour, grain-free options, and they're delicious. So it doesn't feel like a sacrifice to me because I have a lifestyle now that I never had before. And that's the whole goal of this, is that you take the things that you currently can't do and you're gonna be able to do them just by changing your diet and lifestyle a little bit. You know, that lack of energy, for me, I could never make plans because my stomach was upset all the time. I was confused all the time. I couldn't thrive at work because I never knew what my health situation was going to be from day to day. And you might be in that same spot. I'm helping a few people right now who can't work anymore due to the health issues that are caused by all this inflammation inside their bodies. So let's get rid of that inflammation, clear your brain back up, feel amazing, and then start working again. Start having a social life again. Actually set some crazy goals that maybe you think right now aren't attainable and go attain them, because you can. I'm gonna tell you, like, I went from being bedridden for months at a time to hiking to 7,500 feet 2 months ago to shoot a wedding. It was the best feeling. I can't even explain to you what a good feeling that is, because I've been there. I've been laying in that bed thinking, why me? You know, life is over. And it's just absolutely incredible how fast these changes are going to happen once we cut out those bad foods and replace them with really healthy foods that are going to help you thrive.